Whether you're a seasoned baker or you're brand new in the kitchen, these 5 cake box mix recipes always turn out so good, and they are so easy to make, and they are definite crowd pleasers.
We are going to take this yellow box of cake mix and make a pumpkin honey bun cake. Y'all remember honey buns as a kid, right? Let's turn this into a pumpkin cake. My oven is currently preheated to 350 degrees. We're gonna be using coconut oil, but you can use vegetable oil if that's what you prefer. So we need 1/2 cup. Okay, yep, you can pour that in. Good. We're gonna add 4 eggs to this recipe. Gotta get. All right, let's start to combine just a little bit. We need to add a 1/2 cup of sour cream, but if you guys have been here for a while, you know that we use Greek yogurt in place of sour cream, so we are going to do that today as well. We have 1 can of pumpkin here. We're gonna add about 3/4 of the can, and the rest of it we'll save for the puppadoo, because she loves canned pumpkin. And we also need to add some pumpkin pie spice. This is 2.5 teaspoons. All right, let's start mixing this together. You should definitely feel free to beat this with an electric mixer if you need to or want to. We're gonna leave nuts out of this recipe, and that's because I'm taking it to church tonight, and you know, some people just really don't like them, but you can add walnuts to this. In this glass bowl right here, I am going to do 3/4 cup of brown sugar, and if you were gonna do nuts, you would wanna put about a 1/2 cup of walnuts of brown sugar. We actually don't need this bowl because we're not combining it with the walnuts. We need to spray our 9x13 baking dish. Okay, we are going to take this 9x13 pan that we've sprayed with coconut oil, and about half of this batter is gonna go into the bottom of the pan. Okay, now we're going to use the brown sugar to spread over the top of this layer here. And like I said, if you had walnuts in there, you would wanna do that on this layer. Sprinkle, so watch, let me show you. See how I'm just doing this to kind of sprinkle it?
Okay.
You wanna do that?
Yeah, sure.
Now we're gonna add the rest of the cake mix onto the top.
Ooh, layer cake.
Mm-hmm. So I'm using my spatula to just kind of spread it around as evenly as possible without, I'm trying not to lift that brown sugar layer that's underneath there. Whenever I make a cake, I like to just take a paper towel and clean up the edges right around just a little bit, because otherwise whatever's on the edges burns, and I just don't think it looks as pretty. This is going in my 350 degree oven for 35 to 40 minutes. Now to make the icing that's gonna go on the top, I'm gonna go ahead and make it while that's in the oven. You're going to use 1 cup of powdered sugar. So I have probably right around a cup left in this container here. We need 2 tablespoons of milk. And we have almond extract instead of vanilla. We're going to use 1 teaspoon, okay? I like to just whisk this together with a fork. It'll come together really easily. And then this is ready to pour all over the cake once it comes out of the oven. You actually wanna pour this on when the cake is hot. So I know a lot of icings, you do not want to do that. You wanna wait until the oven, or until the cake is nice and cool, but not in this case. All right, we're gonna take that icing that we made and just drizzle all over the top. I'm gonna let this cool for just a couple of minutes before I try it so I don't burn off all of my taste buds. So I will let you guys know in just a few minutes how this one is. Let's give this little cake here, honey bun cake, a try. All right, I feel like this one is just gonna be really good. Okay, I have to show you this. I don't know if this is gonna come off on camera, but you can see just a little bit of the layer of brown sugar. It's hard to see on camera. Ugh, I wish you could though. Whoa, y'all, this is good. Okay, you have to make this one. I'm not even kidding. It's so delicious. Oh my goodness. All right, I'm excited about this one. It totally tastes like a honey bun. It's like bringing back childhood memories. But that little touch of pumpkin is just so good. Editing this video, and I have to let you guys know, I took this dessert to church and I had so many people come up and ask me for the recipe for this. It is very good. I highly suggest this one. We are making an apple cider donut cake. The first time I made this was several years ago, and it is so delicious. You do not want to skip this recipe. Everyone really loves this one. It's made in a bundt pan, so it looks really pretty too. Y'all, I'm telling you, you have to make this one. The first thing we're doing is adding a box of the yellow cake mix to my mixing bowl. We're adding some apple cider to this. Feel free to get a really good one, like a really, really good quality one, because I do think that makes a difference. We're going budget friendly on this recipe, but we need 3/4 of a cup added to this. So all in. Probably could get out the measuring cups that are actually intended for liquid, but we'll be all right. All right, we are adding some applesauce, and this is the applesauce that we usually just have at our house because the kids can grab it and take it very quickly. So you need about a 1/2 cup of applesauce. And this recipe requires 3 eggs. So we'll go ahead and get those in there. And 2 tablespoons of melted butter. And we're gonna mix all of this together. That's just combined. We need to add 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. And we'll leave this out because I do believe we use it again. And 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And then mix this together. We did grease and flour a bundt pan. Let's pour this whole mixture into there. Now my oven is currently preheating to 350 degrees. It shouldn't take long because I was actually baking pretty much all morning, even though I turned the oven off. Oh yeah, we're almost back there again. Now I'm gonna bake this for 45 minutes. It can go in between 40 and 50. We're gonna do 45, see how it looks, up to 50. Make sure a toothpick comes out clean, and then go from there. 45, here we go. Finishing off this apple cider donut cake, we need to make the topping. Okay, so we're gonna add about a 1/2 cup, maybe a little less, maybe like a 1/3 cup or so. Basically, you're just making cinnamon sugar. Really, really easy to do. And about a teaspoon of cinnamon. Mix that together. So simple, so simple. All right, there you have your cinnamon sugar. Our cake is cooled. I usually take one of these skewers, some sort of long stick, something that you can poke around the edges and make sure that everything is nice and separated from the edges. Now this one actually looks really good. It actually separated very easily. So I'm really hoping when we turn it over, the whole thing comes out. Here goes nothing. All right, that's what you want. I also have a couple of tablespoons of melted butter, and we are going to top this with melted butter the whole way around. If I need more, I'll make more. The recipe that I have been using for a couple of years now, and kind of made adjustments to, says a 1/4 cup of butter. We'll see if I need more. If I need more, that's totally fine. Yeah, see, I did about 3 tablespoons of butter, maybe 2.5. And I think that's enough. Now I could empty one of my shakers and put this in a shaker and shake this, but we're just gonna take a spoon and put that cinnamon sugar all over, all the way around. Try and get it on the edges as well. This looks so pretty for Sunday morning pastries. Let me give this a taste before we take this with us. The flavor is really good. I will say I have made this before, like I said, if you use a really good quality apple cider, you get more of that apple cider flavor. So this is one where the apple cider that I used is one in the juice section of the store that doesn't have to be refrigerated. But if you use one that's out, it's like this pure, really like deep color apple cider, you are gonna get more of that flavor, which is delicious. There's no dryness to this. You get that sweetness from the cinnamon sugar on the top. This is very, very good. It's good option. It can be a good option for a breakfast, but also a great option for a dessert, especially at this time of year. We're making a caramel apple poke cake, and I actually am going with a salted caramel versus just a regular caramel, but you can go either way. So we need to start by putting 3 eggs into this bowl. Oh, we actually need to start by preheating our oven to 350 degrees. You can obviously use a hand mixer if that's what you prefer. Now I'm gonna be adding 1 can of apple pie filling. I chose this brand right here just based on my grocery order. So this is apple fruit filling or topping. This one says no high fructose corn syrup. We are gonna add the whole can into this recipe. Let's mix that together. And I'm kind of smashing them a bit with my whisk as I do this, because obviously they're big apple pieces. I just want them to be a little smaller. We are adding 1.5 teaspoons of ground cinnamon. We're adding a 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg and a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. We are also gonna add in an entire box of yellow cake mix and mix all of this together. Now this one is going to church, so I'm going to take one of these type of pans. So actually my husband is taking it to church tonight. So that way they don't have to worry about any dishes or anything because we don't have a kitchen. Okay, spray that pan and all the batter is gonna go in there. You're spreading this out so that it is even. And this is gonna go in that 350 degree oven for 30 to 40 minutes. All right, our apple cake just came out of the oven. We need to pretty quickly go ahead and pour on this caramel topping. I'm gonna heat it up just a bit just so it's easier to pour out of the jar. It's not a requirement by any means. While that's heating, we're gonna poke holes in our cake. So I'm just using a chopstick. I find that's one of the easiest things to do. Just a couple inches apart, you're just gonna poke holes. Keep it really simple. They don't have to look pretty or perfect. You're gonna end up covering it with an icing layer anyway. But this is just going to make sure that all the cake gets saturated in that caramel. Making sure you get the edges too. Don't forget about those. All right, well, my cake fell in the middle, but it's gonna be okay. It's still gonna taste good. We're gonna take the salted caramel topping and it's gonna go all over the top. The whole jar. Now this is an 11-ounce jar. You can use up to a 17-ounce jar. It's totally up to you. Now because it fell in the center, I'm gonna take a spoon and scoop it out of the dip there. Not ideal, but it'll still be okay. It'll still taste good. It's just annoying. The caramel apple poke cake has cooled for long enough now. So we're gonna move on to the icing, frosting, I guess, so that we can put it in the fridge because you really want it to refrigerate until you're ready to serve. So I'm gonna pour 1.5 cups of whipping cream, heavy cream, into my measuring cup and then into the bowl. We're going to start this on medium and gradually increase to a high speed. We want to whisk this until we get to stiff peaks or close to stiff peaks, and then we're gonna add in powdered sugar. Now you don't wanna mix it for too long because you'll get butter. So not too long, but just until you start to see those stiff peaks form. We've got those stiff peaks, so we're gonna put in 3/4 cup of powdered sugar and mix that together. So we are going to start on low so we don't have a powder explosion. Okay, I think that is a good amount. It is, goodness. You can see it's not falling off of the beater. I'm gonna add the whipped cream, or the frosting, I guess, all over. Just spread this around. Now, somewhat for taste, but mostly for looks, we're going to sprinkle with some cinnamon. And there you have it. I mean, come on, come on. How good does this look? It's so pretty. I feel like it's gonna be light and fluffy too. Let's give it a taste. That is really good. Really, really good. Oh. I'm gonna push it away so that everybody else can try it. When you get the bite of the salted caramel with it, wow. Wow. Love the topping because it's very light. Guys, this is so good. You get the apples in there, the ever so slightest bit of cinnamon. The salted caramel really stands out. Now, I don't know what this would be like with the regular caramel, but wow. And then that light and fluffy whipped cream type topping. This is so good. Future editing Amber here. I've actually taken this to 2 different events now, and I get so many compliments on how good this recipe is. You definitely need to try this one. I wanted to let you know I will have the full recipe posted in the description box. Now, if you're making the full recipe, you actually want to use a sheet pan instead of a baking dish. I'm gonna be using the baking dish just because we're cutting this down, so I need a smaller thing, and I don't have like a half-size baking sheet. So we're using this dish. Sorry, that was loud. I've got parchment in here, and then I just went ahead and sprayed it. We can set that to the side and it'll be ready to go when we need it. Now for this recipe, we're gonna be using half of this box of cake mix, and we're just gonna mix it up in this bowl just like the package suggests. I know there's a bunch of hacks out there for different ways to make your cake mix even better. Feel free to do that. I think that some of them are like use milk instead of water, add an extra egg, or take out an egg. I think there's a whole bunch of different ways you can go about it. So feel free to do whatever you want to do. I am definitely going to be using milk instead of water. We just enjoy that more. So I'm going to be adding 1/2 cup of milk. We need a 1/4 cup of oil, and I have avocado oil, but I always feel like coconut oil just adds this different element of flavor that I love when it comes to a recipe like this. We've got 1/4 cup. Start to combine this just a little bit. Don't judge, I'm just doing this with the knife that I already had out. Once that coconut oil hits that cold milk, it's gonna start to harden back up. It's currently at room temperature. I think I'm gonna go ahead and just heat it just a bit so it doesn't completely harden back up. Maybe the hot versus the cold will come together and make a warm. Okay, before I add this in, it's melted completely now. I am gonna add in 1 egg. Oh, I need to preheat my oven. Preheat to 350 degrees. Okay, so that is combined, looks good. We're gonna start to add in that oil. Okay, we are nice and mixed here. We're gonna pour this into the sheet pan. Really, I should have it go up on the sides too, but I think we're gonna be okay. Let me just spray over here because we'll be able to use a knife around the edges. Yeah. Okay, now we're gonna pour this into the baking dish. And because I am only using half the box, this is gonna work perfect. Okay, so we're just spreading this out in the pan. It kind of did that on its own anyway, but just making sure it's fairly even. I am pulling out a smaller bowl because we need to melt some butter. So I'm gonna melt just about 2 to 2.5 tablespoons of butter. And you guys know, even though these are not proper baking tools, I just genuinely love things like a fork or a spoon. I feel like they're so easy to use. Okay, so a couple tablespoons of melted butter. We are going to add a couple of tablespoons of brown sugar. Let's start with 3 and see how that looks. Mix that a little. Maybe I'll go 4. I think that'll be perfect. But if you are doing the full recipe, you're actually going with, maybe it's like a 1/2 cup maybe? I can't remember, but I'll have it posted like I said. And we're gonna add a dash of cinnamon, about a 1/2 tablespoon or so. Okay, we mix that together. Now we're gonna take that cake mixture and just kind of drizzle the brown sugar mixture all over the top. It doesn't have to be pretty because we're actually gonna take a butter knife and swirl it all through there, just kind of making it look a little pretty. You can probably make yours way prettier than mine, to be honest, but I'm just not too concerned about that. Y'all know that typically I am not a huge baker. I love to cook, but I love doing things that are a dash of this and a dash of that. So if it's gonna be a dessert, I'm gonna choose an easy one. Now we're gonna take a butter knife and we're just gonna do a swirling. It's not really a pattern that I'm looking for. I just wanna make sure that we get some all throughout. Looks really pretty. Now, as soon as my oven is preheated to 350 degrees, this is gonna go in for about 15 minutes or so. It might take a little longer because mine might be a little thicker than if it were going on a sheet pan, but I don't think it's that much thicker. So in between 15 and 20 minutes, and then we will finish this one up. Okay, the oven is ready. This is gonna go in and we're going to make the icing while this is in there. Okay, it's a good thing that I am only making a 1/2 recipe because my powdered sugar is running really low and I did not pay attention to that at all. We need a 1/2 cup of powdered sugar. This is gonna be tough. It's definitely gonna be all of it. I think we're gonna be short by just a smidge. Should be okay. All right, so we've got a little bit of powdered sugar. We wanna add a little bit of vanilla extract. You can also add almond if that's something that you like. You guys know I actually love adding almond extract, but since I'm taking it to church, since I have vanilla extract, I might as well make it with that and then I don't even have to worry about it. And we're really just adding milk until we get to a thin enough consistency that it's like icing. That actually might have been a little too much. Okay, it's a little thinner than I typically like for the icing, but it'll be all right. It'll be all right. You want it kind of this consistency of glue. Mine's a little thicker than, or a little thinner than glue, but it's okay. Now this is just gonna set to the side and as soon as the cake comes out, we're gonna let it cool for about 5 to 10 minutes. Then we'll drizzle with that icing and that's it. It is so simple and easy to make. This cinnamon roll cake, it still has 6 minutes left, but my entire house smells like a cinnamon roll right now. Oh my goodness. I feel like I should have just made the full recipe on this one. I did let this cool for about 10 minutes. I still think it needs to cool a little longer. Oh, nice. Okay, so it is done in the middle. I did check it with a toothpick. Now we're gonna take that icing and just drizzle all over the top. And you know, normally you might want it to be a little thicker than this icing, but again, I'm not a baker. Full disclosure, I tried this cinnamon bread off camera. I just couldn't wait. It is so light and fluffy. I do think it would be a little more dense maybe if you put it on one of those sheet pans, but I personally don't think it's overly sweet. I think it's the perfect amount of sweetness. I really like it. Like I said, super light and fluffy, airy. It feels like you're not eating a ton of stuff. It's very good. We're gonna make an easy tiramisu poke cake. You can make this with a box of cake mix. You guys know I like to make my own cake mix. It's so incredibly simple. I'll have the recipe in the description box below. It's so easy to store and you know exactly what ingredients are in it. You don't need all of the extra stuff. Now, for this recipe, like many times when we are here cooking in my kitchen, we're going to cut this recipe in half. And the main reason for that is we just don't need all of it. So I am gonna be sharing it, but we still don't need all of it. So I'm starting with a half box of cake mix if you're using an actual box, which is about 8.5 ounces, I believe. So I'm gonna measure it to get it right, about half of this. Okay, that's right at about half. And I'm gonna be mixing here in the mixer. You know what I just realized? We need to preheat the oven. Let's preheat the oven to 350. All right, now for the tiramisu cake, we need to add some water. You could probably also add milk too, but since we have a lot of other sweetness going in this, and tiramisu is not a super sweet dessert, I'm gonna skip that and we're gonna do water, but you can do whichever way you prefer. We only need a half cup, so I'm gonna measure this out if I can see it well. All right, half a cup of water is going right into the mixer here. Now again, if you're making the full recipe, you're not gonna follow the exact measurements I'm doing because this is a half recipe. So instead of a half a cup of water, you're gonna be using a full cup of water and a full box of cake mix. I've already portioned out my oil. We're using coconut oil, and I did go ahead and melt it so that it would be nice and ready to go. Pour all of that in. And then I've got egg whites. So for the full recipe, I believe it's 3 egg whites. This is like 1.5. It's probably closer to 2, but it'll be okay. Let's pour all that in there. All right, so we are going to mix this on medium speed for about 2 minutes. Now, since I'm using a half recipe, I'm going to use an 8x8 baking dish. Actually, this might be 9x9. No, it's 8x8. So feel free to use a 9x13 if you're making the full recipe. That's what you should do. I'm gonna wipe this around, just making sure that it coats all parts of the dish. And you could do that with leftover coconut oil. In fact, the really economical thing would have been to pour the coconut in there and just use the remainder and wipe my dish with it. Okay, my oven is close. I'm gonna go ahead and pour the batter into this dish. You know what, I raised the bowl on my mixer, and I don't think I should have. I need to lower it back down because there's still a little bit of dry mix at the bottom. Okay, pour all of this into your dish. As soon as the oven is ready, this is gonna bake for about 30 minutes. I'll watch it, but it could go really anywhere from like 27 minutes up to 35 minutes, just depending on your oven. So 350, around 30 minutes. While the cake is in the oven, I'm gonna go ahead and make the coffee and sweetened condensed milk mixture. So I have 4 ounces of, it's basically espresso, honestly, in here, but like a very, very bold coffee, and got that in the cup. Now we're gonna add some sweetened condensed milk, what I'm thinking. Now I'm only using half the can, but if you were making the full recipe, you would need all 14 ounces. I need 7 ounces, so I am going to actually measure it out using my scale to get 7 ounces and then mix that together so it'll be ready to go. Now this recipe, you want it to refrigerate after you pour this mixture all over the top of the cake. Normally you want it to refrigerate for about 30 minutes to an hour. I'm actually gonna let ours refrigerate for about, it's gonna be probably more like 3 hours. I'm making everything up. We're gonna take the kids to a movie, and when we come home, I'll finish assembling everything. Probably gonna do this with a fork, honestly. All right, so 7 ounces of this sweetened condensed milk is going in with the coffee. Oh, pretty close. All right. Just mix that together. This would have been wiser in a bigger cup, y'all. So we're kind of pre-mixing right now, but honestly, we're gonna end up mixing it again once we take the cake out of the oven, and we need to pour this all over the top. Also, let's go ahead and make the icing. While we're at it, we'll make it and then I'll put it in the refrigerator, and then when everything's done later on tonight, we'll be able to move forward with it. This would be some super sweet coffee right here. I don't know if I've ever said it, but every time I order coffee, I order it half sweet, like anytime we go out, which is rare, by the way. It's rare that we go out and get coffee, because since we got a good coffee machine, game changer. You will not go out and get coffee anymore because there's just no reason to. It's just that good. All right, let's make the, what is it called? Frosting. That's gonna go onto the top of this. And then, like I said, we'll put it in the refrigerator. I've got mascarpone cheese. And for this, we need about 4 ounces. This whole container, I believe, is 8. Yes, 8 ounces. So, and I had already used a little bit. So that's roughly-ish. And before we do anything else, we want to whip this so that it gets to be like a nice fluffy consistency. I also made some vanilla frosting, so I'm gonna add that. Feel free to just buy vanilla frosting in like the can in a store, whatever you wanna do, but I always have the ingredients to make it, so it's simple enough. It's actually such a simple recipe. And I actually might end up thinning it out with a little bit of milk. We'll see how that goes. All right, I want it to be a little thinner, so I'm gonna add a touch of milk. Okay, that's more what I'm looking for. Now it's nice and fluffy, not too thick. Let me wipe down the sides here just to make sure that everything gets nice and combined. Okay, let's check it. It looks done to me, nice and spongy, which is what you want. Whenever I need to make a poke cake, I usually use one of these chopsticks and poke holes. You can use the back of a wooden spoon, that's fine too. It is sticking, hang on, let's spray it. Okay, we'll see if that helps. Yeah, there we go. Well, kind of. All right, so we're poking holes just all over. You're supposed to poke it when it's warm. Okay, let's give this coffee a stir again and pour. This is a lot of coffee for this amount. Now, I'm gonna let this cool for a few minutes before I put this in the refrigerator, because otherwise we're gonna have a breaking situation. Let me just tilt. Let it cool for just a bit here, and then that'll go in the fridge. The frosting is already in the fridge, and then it just needs to cool for about 30 minutes to an hour in the refrigerator. Then we'll be able to frost it, and then we put these chocolate shavings over the top. So easy. All right, friends, we're back. Let's get the frosting onto this poke tiramisu cake copycat type of, obviously it's not tiramisu, right? It's just like an easy version that we're doing. Okay, so we're taking that frosting that we made, and it's gonna go all over the top. Just anyway. All right, so we're spreading this over the top, and I am not doing a very thick amount. So you can obviously put a very thick layer of the frosting on the top if you want. And this is not a super sweet frosting because it's got that mascarpone in it, but it also does have vanilla icing in it too, so it adds an element of sweetness. And I prefer it to be not super sweet, especially with that condensed milk in there. This tiramisu, this copycat like cheater version of tiramisu, very much reminds me of a tres leches, because you've got the milk that you pour all over the top and it soaks the cake, which that is probably my favorite dessert of all time, is a tres leches if done right. Very, very good. I love that one. Now, you don't really want a sweet chocolate, and I'm actually opting for more of a dark chocolate. This one's 72%, but you can go as sweet or as unsweet as you want. So whatever it is that you're looking for, we're going to add some chocolate shavings to the top because it looks so pretty. So you just use something like this, like a zester, citrus zester, and you just create chocolate shavings all over the top. All right, so this is a tiramisu cake. It's a poke cake, really simple.
A what cake?
Poke. It
What's
means
that mean?
after you bake it, you poke holes in it, and that's because you're gonna pour a liquid over the top.
Oh, yeah.
So the liquid is espresso, and
A tres leches is a poke cake?
it's like
similar?
Yes, yeah,
okay.
similar to, it's soaking it basically.
Yeah.
Sweetened condensed milk, that's what it is.
Yeah,
Espresso and sweetened condensed milk. And then the frosting is a mascarpone and vanilla icing.
Make a little bit of the icing by itself. Okay.
What do you think? Can you taste the espresso?
It's strong espresso. It doesn't mean it's bad.
We use a very, very strong bean.
Yeah.
Intentionally. We prefer very strong coffee. So you can definitely taste the coffee, but that's what I love about it personally.
Where did you say it is? That's the flakes or what?
No. It's espresso like poured into the cake. Like the cake is soaked in espresso and sweetened condensed milk.
Oh yeah, I mean it's legit like you're taking an espresso shot. I love it.
It's really good.
If you're a coffee lover.
Yeah, if you love coffee, this
you.
is for sure for you.
And would especially be good with a coffee.
Oh, so good. Speaking of, my iced coffee is over there. But yeah, it's really delicious. It's sweet because you have that sweetened condensed milk in there. And you have the vanilla frosting that is mixed with the mascarpone. But
the sweet hits you first.
Yeah.
And then the last bites are the espresso.
It's really good.
And the sweet stays on your tongue. Man, that's good.
But it is reminiscent of a tres leches.
Agreed.
Because of
And
the
its
soaking
consistency.
method. Yeah. So I'll have another recipe you have to come down and try in about, I don't know, like 15 minutes or so. But this one is really good, y'all. I would absolutely make this. Like,
You can see that it was
over and
good
over.
because it was not just a taste test. We were beating each other to the next bite.
This is a competition.
That is yummy.
It's really good.
Thanks, everybody.
Our verse today comes from Psalm 31:24. Be strong and take heart, all you who hope in the Lord. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Check out the video that I have listed above. It's such a good one. Amazing recipes. You are going to love this one. Do not leave my channel before you watch that video. I hope you're having a great week.